time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi, Grace. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so good, and I'm so excited. I know that you're in a completely different location. You're in Paris, right?
I am, yes.
Okay. So it's still a little bit early over here for us on the East Coast, and for some of the West Coasters who are watching, it's 7 a.m. for them, but it's a little bit later over there, and we're just so thankful that we got to steal some time from you today.
Well, thank you. I'm really excited to be on your channel. I'm obsessed, and thank you to everyone who's up nice and early to watch as well if you're not in Europe.
Well, you know, and it's actually awesome because I feel the same way about your channel. And as soon as I posted that I was going to be jumping on with you, you have a lot of fans, like a lot of diehard fans that were reaching out to me saying, oh my gosh, I started watching YouTube because of the Grace Report. I'm so excited. And I was like, wow, look at all of these guys showing up for you.
That is so sweet. I love my people, as Wendy says. That is so sweet. Thank you guys.
Yeah, you know, and I always say the same thing. I'm like, I don't deserve you guys, but thank you so much for watching. But no, as soon as I saw your channel, I'm like, you know, Grace and I, we have to get together. We have to talk all things Bravo and have a no holds barred conversation. And I think that's what we're here today to do.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So I don't even know where to start. There's a lot going on in the Bravo world, but do you mind if we start with Salt Lake City?
Let's do it.
Okay. Did you watch the first episode?
I did. I am already hooked on it. I love like the first season of Housewives because it always starts off kind of like you're getting to know people. There's no like cutthroat, like tearing each other down, trying to attack the family stuff. Like so far, it seems okay. Did you like the preview?
Oh, so I thought it was great. But no, I'm a little conflicted with some of these ladies already. You know, I saw a lot of the comments in different blogs and different YouTube videos, whatever, of people saying, I don't want to watch this season of Real Housewives in Salt Lake City. I don't want to watch, a whole franchise about religion and this and that. But I think people are really missing the point here. This is more so about how these women go about their unconventional lifestyles within these religions.
Exactly. Like not everybody on, Salt Lake follows the same religion. There are some people who've been excommunicated from it. There was Jen, I believe she was saying, listen, I wanted my husband to convert to Mormonism, but then I realized that, according to her, there's a lot of racism, anti-Black racism within the religion. And so she ultimately left it. So I feel like there's so much dynamics. There's so many like hidden dynamics within this that we can like uncover that we don't really get in other cities, because in other cities it's just, this is who I'm married to, this is what I do, this is how much money I have. But here, like, I think it's deep. We could really get in deep here.
No, I agree with you. And honestly, my fiance is Mormon or was Mormon. And, obviously we're gay. So that follows under the anti-Black or homosexual, or, there's so many different, again, things that play into this, especially when you're playing with religion. But let's start off with, who do you think is going to bring us the biggest controversy from this season of Salt Lake City? I feel like I can already guess who you're thinking, but.
Oh, you know who I'm going to say. I'm going to say Mary, the one married to her step grandpa. Because you know what? It's not even the grandpa part. I've heard so much gossip about it. Like, did the grandma really want him to marry her? Did he secretly do X, Y, Z and then go behind the back and then get with her? I don't know. But like, just based off like Jen really disliking her and saying that she has like a really big mouth, she never knows how to filter herself, she fesses up to that as well. I feel like she is going to really, really, really do something that is going to blow the city up.
I mean, I don't think we've ever had a housewife in history that's married within the family. So this is obviously big. And like you said earlier, when we get these housewives, it's usually about what career they have, some sort of infidelity maybe within their marriage, or an alcohol or substance abuse problem, right? It's not ever really this deep. And each woman has kind of something going on for themselves. But can I pick your brain about Mary Cosby for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we have this woman, she's beautiful. She comes in and this is obviously a hot topic. She married her step grandfather, but I thought she was going to come into this season a little bit more I don't know if humble is the word, but a little bit more calm and a different approach. I mean, the fact that at the end of the first episode, Jen Shaw is calling her out about the aunt with amputated legs, and Mary Cosby's answer is, you know what? She's a 60-year-old woman. Why do you got to lose your legs? That's just a bad diet. It's no. You want us to accept you who you married your step grandfather, but then you're going to talk like that?
I said the exact same thing. After I watched it, I called my friend and I was like, why would you say that about someone that you were supposed to be friends with? Like it was just so unempathetic to say that about and she doesn't even know the real reason this woman had to get amputated. It could have been anything. So to say, drink water, man. Yeah, that's why I say she's going to be the firecracker of it, because she doesn't think before she speaks. And I feel like that is just a little tidbit of what's to come with Mary.
Oh, yeah. And we obviously know that, the race card is going to play a big part in hers and Jen's, obviously, like their little feud that's going back and forth. And we can see that this is just going to continue to spiral, especially because after the first day of the premiere, Jen obviously went and tweeted, "This is how it started. This is how it's going," about Mary when her stepdad's holding her as a baby and then also marrying her. So they're going to get messy, these women.
They are, and I'm here for it. I like messy just as long as it doesn't get too dark. You know what I mean? Like, yes, she already started a little dark with that amputated leg comment, but I really hope that that's as far as it goes. But I want all of these catty little subplots and dramas going along there. Yeah. Do you like that in a show, or do you kind of prefer more friendly?
No, I actually think I enjoy exactly what you just said. I like an element of mess without getting just absolutely disgusting. But it's fun. If it can be fun shade, honestly, she's going to come in hot. She's going to come in like guns a-blazing because she has the biggest topic hanging over her head. So I feel like she feels like she's going to get it from every single direction starting off. And maybe that's why she's a little bit of a tough, I was going to say a tough AWS. That
very much could be it. There's so many people who deal with being bullied and what do they do as a defense? They develop a way to just start out of the gate, as a defense mechanism, being extremely aggressive. So it might be that. I have a question. You have a source within this cast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to put anything out there, but there's just something about Mary to me that seems like there's something going on with her, outside of the grandpa thing, outside of being a mean person. Is there something that might eventually come out about her? Does she have some kind of an issue?
See, the only thing that I know so far, and the person who I've been talking to, who was filmed Salt Lake City, she's given me tidbits, but the only two topics that I know right now, are the step grandfather and that whole topic, and then also the race card, which is kind of the same thing that we all know at this point. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like it's kind of fun when I get the little tidbits of information, because I can tell who's a seasoned, let's say Bravo celebrity, as opposed to somebody who is fresh on the scene and I am not breaking this NDA and losing my spot. So I totally respect the positions and understand that these are their careers and are part of them now. And I don't know, though. That doesn't mean, Grace, that I'm not going to keep digging. I promise you. I will find out what's going on. But
I felt it, in that scene when she was wearing, I love the beret, by the way. She was wearing this beautiful glittery one. I was like, you know what? There's something going on here. And I feel like give her time, give her a few more seasons and we'll know what it is. But there's something under there.
Oh, I mean, we're finding out little bits of information about Mary that her family keeps on kind of divulging to everybody. And it seems like, her family is very comfortable with going to different YouTubers and different bloggers. Tasha K did an interview with, I think, Mary's nephew. There's just been a few at this point. And we found out that Mary had a husband before she married the bishop, that he had the husband kicked out of the church because what the claim is that he was making her perform unclean acts. And I don't even want to get into that. But so then apparently, I guess, so how in the Mormon church, it's a big process to get divorced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not supposed to. I don't know how it works for Pentecostal, but I guess the bishop, Mary's new husband, step grandfather, had to allow her to get a divorce from this man named Dana. So after that happened, everybody started speculating that they were going to get together or that they were spending too much time together. And then finally he held a big family meeting kind of saying that the grandmother wanted them to be together and that he's talked to her and blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. And it caused a lot of riff. It made Mary's mom, what is her? I have her name written down. Rosalind Cesares. Have you heard this? That she ended up leaving the church, taking half the congregation with her, starting her own church, and she doesn't even agree with it. So I feel like if we get Mary for multiple seasons and she doesn't feel defeated by the end of this season, because I know that she turned off a lot of her comments and she won't let people tag her on social media and stuff. So this could very well be weighing on her already. But if we get more of her, I feel like this is like an onion.
There's so many layers. That's why I don't get like that there are people boycotting this, over like religion or whatever. Like, no, religion is just a little piece of what this huge franchise has to offer us. I think it's the next Potomac, like a big runaway star.
I see. I agree with you. And anybody who's trying to sway me otherwise, I'm like, no way. Just because somebody said to me, the first season, it's already a tank and Bravo poured so much money into this. And the first episode, the ratings were lower than Orange County. Well, anybody who's watching has to understand we're invested into Orange County. We're invested into Potomac. We feel like we know these women already. Salt Lake City, it's almost like forming a new friendship. We're starting to get to know them and we have to give it a second.
That's exactly it. Even Potomac didn't really start out, that strong out of the gate. I think it was in the sevens or something like that, 700s. So give it time.
Yeah. Actually, since you brought up Potomac, I want to talk about that really quick. But, it's true. Their ratings didn't, start going through the roof until the whole fight happened this season. And that's when they got the majority of their attention for Potomac. And now since then, everybody wants to know what's going on with them.
Exactly. It's so sad because you don't want to see women go to this level, but unfortunately that's what people are tuning in for.
Yeah. Yeah. At first I was like, am I watching Bravo or am I watching Investigate's channel? We've never seen kind of this raw of footage usually. We have definitely on Bravo, but they really kind of gave us the raw footage of the Monique Candace fight and showed us a lot more than they usually do. Normally, I feel like they black it out and you'll start hearing the noises and it'll go to a black screen and a confessional of the housewife saying something like, none of us expected that to happen. And then it's like, what happened?
In that exact voice. Honestly, the last time I remember seeing a fight like this in depth on Bravo was it the christening or the baby shower in Jersey when the two Joes were going at each other? That was, whoa.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was pretty raw. And I think, well, yeah, you can't even black that out because they literally took that from the table down the hall past the parents, like out to the parking lot. That fight was all over the place. So yeah, you're right. You're right. So question for you, Real Housewives of Potomac, obviously there's a lot of speculation about what's going to happen at the end of the season. We know that we have more altercations coming from Candace on the finale episode, and it's not a physical altercation, but a lot of people are anticipating the whole Michael Darby and, Chris Bassett, like their altercation because Michael Darby wants to have the conversation of why are, we not going to get along because of this. And, Ashley pretty much had the right to write whatever she wants. Okay, boom. But Chris and Candace, they have feelings about that. So we know in the finale that a whole verbal altercation kind of spikes up and that Karen and Ashley end up becoming involved in this. I'm curious. Isn't this kind of intense?
It is. It is. Honestly, I don't understand why Candace and Chris like to act like surprised at people's reactions to them. You know what I mean? I'm like, Candace, why are you surprised that Ashley is going to support Monique over you? She and Monique have a friendship and Monique stood up for her when Michael was accused of all those things, which by the way, I kind of feel like he did do, unfortunately, in my opinion. But Candace spent that season going after Ashley and whether or not Ashley wanted to conceive a child, whether or not she was genuinely sad about a miscarriage, like, et cetera. Like she was going at her when Ashley was giving birth. She was calling her all kinds of like slurs and stuff like that. Like it was really disgusting. So the fact that she could actually pretend to be genuinely shocked that Ashley doesn't support her, to me is amazing. And I'm like, why does her husband want to get involved as well? Because last reunion, he was going after Michael as well. So like, where's the shock? Like, why do you need an altercation over this?
See, I feel like they kind of coach each other and amp each other up. Candace and Chris. And listen, I did an interview with Candace, and I always say this because people are, I did a video about, having a conversation with somebody who's close to the cast, saying that we're going to be losing a housewife next season. Even though Andy did the Everything Iconic podcast saying, this is a dynamic group of women and that's why they work. We wouldn't anticipate losing a housewife. We all know how Bravo works. So when we lose a housewife, usually Bravo gives them the benefit of the doubt, right? And they'll let them kind of gracefully bow out of that position. Unless you're Teddy Mellencamp and you just jump the gun and say, you know what, I'm not going to be fake about this. It sucks. I hate that I'm let go, but yes, I was fired.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's kind of what they're going for. But why is it, you know what? Sorry, I don't even know what to ask because yes, I watched your video. That was the one where I was like, oh my God, I have to cover this too. Guys, check out Adam for the full scoop. But this is exciting. And I brought up the same question. I was like, you know what? Andy just did an interview where he said that nothing was changing. So now you're telling me that you got to read between the lines on that?
Well, I'm just curious, and I was going to ask you, it's interesting because housewives, we never hear of a housewife being fired. But then when we had a lot of the 2020 Bravo firings, VPR and some of the other franchises, it was, Bravo taking a firm stance of they're fired because of X, Y, and Z. Now, when I was talking to, let's say, our insider, they have a great point. Candace getting pulled across the table in this fight scene, that's not going to get her fired. Okay. Candace waving around the knife in Ashley's face last season, that's not going to get her fired. It's not necessarily the things that we're watching on screen, but the actions that are adding up being off the screen. Everything that's going behind the scenes, whether it's the homophobic tweets, the unfortunate passing of Kyle Paler. And again, we all know Candace, she's not the one that made this man pass away, but it's just the unkind words that were shown towards him. Even though he obviously was not a fan of hers, he had his own choice of words for her. I think as a public figure, Bravo's a business. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as a business, doesn't somebody have to be held accountable when you start to become a little bit of a liability?
That is 100% what it is. I think that Candace at this point is just not a good look for Bravo. And honestly, I would love to get your opinion on this as well. I kind of feel as though Bravo is doing a lot of picking and choosing when they say, oh, we don't support people who, show bigotry or whatever. But why haven't they yet held that up for the gay community? You've got Jax Taylor from Vanderpump Rules who made this gay rumor up about James. Allegedly, he made up a fake Twitter for James to say all these homophobic things allegedly. And then you've got Candace with all of these tweets. The list kind of goes on. Even various housewives have said things, but they never get fired for it. So do you support bigotry or do you not? What's the holdup when it comes to the gay community within Bravo?
Well, see, what I find pretty ironic about this whole conversation is when I did my interview with Candace, for anybody who watched it, again, she was nothing but a sweetheart with me. She was so sweet, so kind, just an infectious light about her of just how positive she was in our interaction, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the hot topics at the time that I did the interview was all of the firings that were happening. And because it was just that same week. And so I asked Candace, I said, for some of these people, these tweets and stuff, they were years ago. Should they still be held accountable? And she stood firm in her yes, 100%. You need to be held accountable for your actions. It's very just black and white. It's right there in your face. It's kind of this is what it is. If you say something, you should be held accountable. Now, my question is, you're talking about bigotry and, is the same bar held for the gay community as if this was a tweet about race, I don't necessarily see that. I just don't see the same thing being played out here. I'm also not trying to do a witch hunt and get anybody fired. That's not who I am at all. You asked the question and no, I agree. I don't think it's held to the same standard.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And I really do wonder why that is because, other people's tweets and stuff or from years past as well. So I just don't. And I remember watching your interview with Candace, and she was very adamant about that. But, you know, once the shoe's on her foot, she's kind of like, you know what? I've grown, you guys. Like, I don't feel the same way. I apologize. Like, no, like walk the walk that you just, you know, started on earlier.
And, you know, even in the apology, which is, listen, it was still an apology. So good for her for doing the apology. But it was even written in the apology, like, listen, I wasn't a public figure at that time, you know, or something around those lines of just like, I wasn't in the public eye at that time. I was a private citizen. But it's like, what does that mean? That's what? Okay. So
exactly.
If we're not on YouTube and we're not on any sort of like public platform or anything like that, then go ahead and just spew as much nastiness as you want. But the minute that, you know, people are watching you, put on your like Sunday's best and get it together and make sure that you look good and you sound clean. No, that just sounds like a contradiction.
Exactly. It's so irrelevant. You know, who you are is just who you are, whether you're a public figure or not. And I feel like those tweets were a reflection of who she is. And that's what she should have owned instead of trying to deflect one way or the other.
Okay, so I don't want to completely make this whole thing about Candace, but real quick, since we're on Potomac, Ashley wrote this letter on behalf of Monique. Now, do you agree with the fact that she wrote the letter, considering, you know, the magnitude of these charges and what could have happened to Monique? Or do you feel like Ashley should have just bowed out and stayed out of it?
I was team her when it came to writing the letter because, you know what, like she said, I didn't witness this fight, but I don't want this woman to go and play victim as if she doesn't have a habit of provoking people or getting into situations that can very easily escalate to a physical place. You know what I mean? So I totally get her from that perspective with everything that went down. And I also agree with Giselle's kind of, you know, conspiracy theory. She's like, you know what? I honestly believe that Monique and her husband destroyed any kind of evidence about what Michael may or may not have done. And so she feels like she owes her one. So you know, it's twofold for me on that front.
I agree with you. Honestly, I feel like there was footage that was deleted too. I think that, you know, Giselle has been calling that out since day one, even the previous reunion. It's just like, yeah, I think we all agree with that. And, you know, honestly, it's like Monique took a look into the future and knew that she was going to need Ashley to eventually scratch her back. And that's exactly what she got from her. And I guess we're just going to have to see how the reunion plays out, because we know they haven't seen each other since the fight, and they saw each other at the reunion. Andy said it's supposed to be a good one. Of course, he's never going to tease us and say that the reunion was bad, but I'm curious.
You know what? Based on Monique's tweets and a couple of rumblings I've been hearing, I don't have like a personal source with Potomac, but just like online, it sounds like Monique came with a lot of receipts and was able to kind of vindicate herself from the fight. Because do you remember when she was like, I slept like a baby after that reunion? And then she was talking about having like all these receipts. I'm like, okay, girl, I'm happy for you. I'm Team Monique all the way. I'm pro Monique. So I really hope that that's what happened.
I feel like the receipts are probably going to be the same emails that, you know, Monique has been sharing about Candace's lawyer, just like wanting money out of this whole thing to kind of set up. And can you imagine, like, honestly, that is going to look so bad if we come to the reunion and she comes out, she's like, 'cause these housewives are so messy too. Bravo's messy too. I love Bravo, but they'll put a table next to them and we're like, oh, that's a cute prop. And then all of a sudden the housewife like, no, opens the table, pulls out the phone, and they're like, hold on. You know, and it's like, yeah, I feel like she's definitely going to come with the emails.
She will. I think she'll even get to use Chris's own DMs against him, because Chris, when he was DMing with the Black socialite before he unfortunately passed away, he admitted that Candace had flicked Monique's jacket first before Monique got, you know, physical with her. So I think that these are like the little kind of nuances and pieces that we're going to be able to stitch together after the reunion.
Oh, gosh. Okay. All right. I guess this is kind of weighing on me a little bit. This is heavy. I mean, shall we move on to our next Housewives franchise?
Let's do it.
Okay. So Real Housewives of Orange County, are we watching?
I'm boycotting as a result of Kelly Dodd. I'm boycotting, but I really want to hear the tea. I've been seeing what she's been doing online in regards to her daughter Jolie and like the husband. I think just yesterday or the day before, she was attacking him online as well. I know a little bit about stuff going on with Emily and like her, you know, she got another new house, Bronwyn, and her alcoholism. So I'm keeping up to date online without actually watching. Are you watching?
I'm watching, yeah, but I'm curious that you just said I'm boycotting, and Kelly Dodd just made a video saying people are not boycotting because of me. That's not why the ratings are low. The ratings are low because of election week, and she was pretty much just stating like our ratings for OC, they're not because people hate me. It's because, you know, there's a whole presidential election going on, and if it were because people hated me, why is Southern Charm's ratings low? Why is Salt Lake City's ratings low? Why are the Real Housewives of Potomac's ratings low? And Kelly's saying that it's not because of her.
You know, the thing about that is that there's like a legitimate, like organized boycott going on. You know, there's so many wonderful Bravo Instagram pages, for example, that are like, listen, we're not covering, we're not recapping, we're not touching this franchise until she's gone. You know, it's very organized, kind of like a boycott thing. So she can say that, you know, and maybe like the numbers can back her up for now, but like, let's see if those numbers rise like after this election stuff is done. Like now you guys already finished your election. So let's see, Kelly.
Oof. Okay. Well, we do know that we're going to get a new housewife / friend role. She's going to come in as a friend role this season, but our sources say she's 99.99999% confirmed to be an orange holder next season. She has the lifestyle. She has the personality. Her name's Noella Bergner, and she's coming in as a friend of Bronwyn. We're not going to meet her, I don't think, this week. I think we're going to meet her next week. But I'm excited about that. And also, we've heard rumblings that Tamra Judge is coming back. And if that happens, would you be excited? Would you watch for if she came back or no?
I feel like they need a new Spitfire. The Housewives of Orange County is just a little stale based on like, you know, using the same characters for what, like 14, 15 seasons. I don't think that Tamra coming back is what the show needs. Like we know Tamra like likes to stir up mess. She loves to like, you know, start all these kinds of fires. Like we get it. We know how she works, but we need a different person like that. Like that's why people really adored Kelly at first, was she was the new Tamra, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to change too much with Tamra around.
Okay, so you agree that we need a new Spitfire. You just feel like you don't want to go back in time and grab our old one.
Yeah, we keep doing that. Remember when Housewives of Atlanta, they brought back Sheree. Everyone was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. But then like they come back and you're like, oh, it's kind of like when you have a breakup and then you go back to the person. And then like, you know, a couple months in, you're like, oh God, this is why it didn't work out the first time. Like, I get it. Like, I know how you work. I'm over all your old tricks. Like, we need fresh meat. Sheree only lasted another one season when they brought her back because we were over it.
No, I love that analogy, the breakup and then getting back with the person. That is how I feel when we get new housewives, or technically old housewives. So I love that. And I love that you just brought up Real Housewives of Atlanta, because I'm so curious to pick your brain. Are you excited about this new season?
I am. I'm really hoping that the forced Portia versus Kenya thing is over and done with, and then we get to just enjoy these new people.
I hope so too. I feel like Drew Sidora, Latoya Ali, they're going to come in swinging. Drew Sidora is probably the one I'm most excited about, but I think they're going to be great. And I'm curious to see how Marlo kind of comes in and holds her own without Nene there too, because Marlo has always kind of latched on to Nene in the sense that, you know, she knows if Nene likes her and Nene's a part of the show, Marlo would be safe. And I think Marlo can be safe on her own. There's been a lot of rumors of why they'll never actually give her a peach. I believe it was because she had some sort of charge, but do you know anything about that?
The rumor I heard was because she once said the F word as an insult towards one of the other women, but I don't know that I buy it, because I feel like, okay, well, what's the difference between having her on like every episode versus giving her an actual peach? You're still paying her, you're still giving her the exposure. So I don't know that is exactly it, but that's what I had heard.
Yeah. See, and that's the difference too. That's what I really like about you too, Grace, because you're saying that's what I heard and I don't know. And there's so many people who would just love to get the views and come on and be like, oh yeah, Marlo is not a peach holder because of X, Y, and Z. And it's like, shut up. You don't even know what you're talking about.
True. You know, at the end of the day, they're real people. And like, you know, when you say things like that are so serious, you have to be sure that that's what's happening. Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so I know that we're going to be getting Strippergate, and that's going to be a huge part of this season. Also, 2020 coronavirus and Portia being kind of instrumental as a part of the cast for the Black Lives Matter movement. I know that we're going to get a lot of these different dynamics and storylines, but is there one that sticks out to you the most?
Okay, it's going to be a subplot though, because you were talking about Marlo earlier. I heard that she and Kenya are friends this season. So I think that seeing what happened there to cause all of that is going to be really freaking juicy. Yeah, because you know, like how nasty things got between the two of them. Kenya crashed her wig thing with Kenya Moore hair care. Marlo said those awful things about her mom. Like, how do you bounce back from that?
I don't know. When she came in, Kenya Moore hair care, I'm like, nobody has it in them to do that. Like, who as a that's why I think I actually, I'm genuinely like, you just got me so excited because she's so messy, but Kenya does messy most of the time in a fun shade kind of, until you get nasty with her, then she'll really check you. But that's like the fun, okay, this makes for good, fun, light TV. She crashed a little business thing. It's still okay, but it's not way over the top, you know?
Exactly. That's what I love about her. She knows her role and she plays it well. I think sometimes people take her too seriously and too literally. Like, it was all in good fun. It's reality television. It's not kumbaya. Like, you need something to happen.
I agree. Okay. And then last franchise that I want to ask you about really quick. And I know that we've been on for 30 minutes. So Grace, if I steal any of your time and you have to jump off, you just let me know and I will let you go. I know that you're a busy woman.
Of course, I'm having too much fun. You'll have to pry me off.
Oh, no way. I'm keeping you around. Okay. So my last franchise I wanted to talk to you about, only because, you know, they're already making headlines. Which is interesting to me because last season was so weak and so was the season before that. But Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Did you watch last season?
I did. Yes. It was, I felt so bad for Denise, but at the same time, Adam, I have to confess, I think Denise was lying. I think that what Brandy is claiming, you think so too?
Yeah. I mean, Brandy, like, listen, I think that we all think Brandy, we can call her a lot of things, you know, that we don't have to sit here and say on camera, but a lot of people have different opinions about Brandy, but just this one thing to be so adamant and be so kind of just dead, you know, like, I'm into this. And also Denise evading a lot of the social situations to try to avoid Brandy. Yeah. It screamed like, oh, guilty. I don't know if it's to the extent, but do I think that there was a hookup there in some capacity? 100%.
Yeah, that story just kept on changing and never added up. So, and then you know what, with Brandy dealing with what she dealt with her ex-husband, I don't think that she would ever in life willingly, you know, contribute to an affair.
No, but I also do want to say what's kind of annoying about the whole situation was she's claiming that happened. What did she say? 1 or 2 years before that?
I think it was 2 years.
Yeah. 2 years before that. And then you found out that, like, right after that same day, you know, she texted and said, oh my God, you can't tell Aaron, blah, blah, blah. And you knew then 2 years ago that you felt that way about her. But then you still, after that, met up with her different times, continued to form a friendship. And then all of a sudden, as soon as the Beverly Hills cameras start rolling, then you want to flip the script. I think that's very telling of Brandy as a person and what she would do for the fame. But I don't think she was lying about it. I just think it's a character flaw, I think.
Exactly. I feel like she might have just like had a conversation about it with one of, like, you know, the Richards sisters, for example, Kyle. And then Kyle kind of was like, oh my God, we need a new target this season. I could get you on the show if you bring this rumor on the show. You know, I feel like that's what happened. And then remember the meltdown she had when she realized she wasn't going to get that diamond back after like selling herself for free. She complained that she shot all those scenes for free and stuff. Remember she had her kid like complain about Andy not giving his mom a job. It was so embarrassing.
And then the kid said that his mom held the whole season, which in all fairness, Brandy did kind of hold the only person not holding the diamond did kind of hold the season. We'll give that to her. But girl, you're not new in the business. You don't know how to sign a contract before you put yourself in front of a kid. I would have been like, listen, I have all of this tea. I hooked up with Denise. this is X, Y, and Z. If you want this information, give me a contract. If you don't,
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
But I think what producers probably said to her was, listen, okay, shoe on the other foot. We will potentially give you a contract, but we want to see how the fans react to you coming back first. Let's see, honestly, if what you're saying, if it's interesting to people. And then I think that's how they got her for free.
I can't believe she fell for it at her big age. You know what that sounds like when people, because you know, you're a creative person too. You work in like media and entertainment. When people, like when you're first starting out, they go, oh, like, I want you to do this for me for exposure. And then like, if it's good, like I'll get you, like I'll start paying you. It's kind of like that. Like Brandy, you were too old to fall for that trick, girl.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm like, you know, and now we're getting a little bit of word saying that there is this. Have you heard about Brandy potentially or allegedly hooking up with Kim Richards now?
She just tweeted about something like that. She's like, okay, like the only time was when like a cat was on top of me, like when I was in her bed for a sleepover. So we never had a three-way the way she maybe did with Denise. Yeah, I heard a little bit about it. That I wouldn't doubt at all. That I wouldn't doubt at all either. Do you think it might have happened?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know. This one, I don't know. I have to see them. I have to see them talk about it in person, but I would be interested to see if they bring Brandy in to film in any capacity this season, especially with Kathy Hilton signing on, because, you know, I almost feel like it's just kind of an unspoken like rule. Like Kathy Hilton is like a Kris Jenner. So Beverly Hills is kind of in their pocket. And if you mess up, I feel like you can be almost like excommunicated from the Mormon church. I feel like they're going to excommunicate Brandy from Beverly Hills. So I feel like it's okay for her to go after Denise Richards, but she might want to stay away from the Richards sisters.
That is a very, very good point. We saw what happened when she tried to go up against them in season 2 or 3 it was, when they called her a slut pig.
My gosh. Yeah,
you know.
They're ruthless.
And with Kathy out there, everyone's going to fall in line to Kathy because like you said, she is like, you know, a Kris Jenner. She is dynasty. She is money, Beverly Hills money. I'm so excited to have her on. I'm so excited.
I'm super excited too. And I'm excited because the biggest rumor is that she is really not a huge fan of having Lisa Rinna and Erica Girardi around Kyle Richards. But then you see a little bit of back and forth between Kathy Hilton and Lisa Rinna sometimes on Instagram. And you know, who knows whether or not any of this is true until we see it play out on the screens, right? But
have you heard why?
Well,
why doesn't she like Rinna and Girardi around her? Oh my God.
I feel like Rinna, I kind of buried herself with Kathy Hilton only because of her altercations with Kim Richards, especially when she busted the glass over and she's like, don't ever talk about my husband. And, you know, the bunny thing. And I mean, they've had such a kind of a tumultuous history.
Remember the near death comment. Yeah, you're right. I completely forgot. Rinna was so ruthless with poor Kim while she was fragile. You're right. I could see why Kathy would not like her. Yeah.
And especially, you know, if Kathy's a protective sister. I feel like Kathy, even when Kyle and Kim would have their altercations, you know, Kim would mention how Kathy kind of had her back, and Kyle would even say, you know, like the family isn't happy with me right now. My sister's not talking to me. And I really think that they're protective over Kim for obvious reasons. I think that Kim probably needs the most support, whereas like Kyle kind of has it together for the most part. And what would be interesting is if Lisa Rinna crossed that line at all with Kathy Hilton and Kathy Hilton comes to talk about the husband, I would die.
The husband in Canada. You know what? You are totally, totally right. And I think that Rinna learned her lesson about pushing people too far, because remember what she did to Yolanda while Yolanda was suffering from Lyme disease. She claimed it was fake. It was this, it was that. And then Yolanda's daughters become these huge, huge international supermodels. And Rinna comes back on the show with her tail between her legs, kind of making a little bit of a joke about how, damn, like I really screwed the pooch with Yolanda Hadid, because there's no way she's going to help me get my, you know, daughters put on. And so now, what is it? The 19-year-old Amelia is with the almost 40-year-old Scott Disick. You know, like she's really, really trying her hardest. And you know, Kathy is close with Kris Jenner, who's like the mother-in-law, kind of like a surrogate mother for Scott. So she really is going to, you don't have to fall in line when it comes to Kathy, especially.
Yeah, you better kiss that ring, sweetheart, because she's coming in.
Yep.
And I'm curious too, I know that you're boycotting the Real Housewives of Orange County, and we have a new housewife on Orange County, Elizabeth Lynn Vargas. And since you're boycotting it, I'll just give you a little bit of tidbit in case you don't already know. But she married a billionaire, is now going through a divorce, and she has her live-at-home boyfriend that she doesn't hook up with because she doesn't want to lose her settlement. And she can't talk about anything. She just, every time the women try to have an honest conversation with her, she's like, I'm still going through my divorce, and my lawyers say that I can't talk about this and I can't talk about this. Well, it's like, who casted you? Because you can't talk about anything. And I'm curious if Erica Girardi is going to come to the table as a diamond holder, of course, kind of being the same way, like not being able to talk about her divorce or anything that's going on behind the scenes.
I feel like she will, because there's so many things that she could have been talking about all this time, like the lawsuits of her husbands. Yeah, they're her husbands, but in some of them, she's roped into them as well because they had joint assets, or like she had helped co-sign on something. So the fact that those have never once been brought up kind of like tells you, listen, this girl is not interested in sharing her life. Have we ever seen her friend? Like ever? I don't know this girl to have any kind of friends. So if we can even see whether or not this girl has friends who aren't paid, then
yeah, I was about to say all of her friends are kind of like her squad.
Exactly. So I don't really think that we'll see it. I hope so, because, when she took us to the place where she used to go dance before she met Tom and stuff, like she introduced us to her mom and all of that. Like, I like those little glimpses of the real her we get. So I hope, I really do, that we get it. But
I agree with you, because it kind of shows us why she is this, this proclaimed like ice queen. It shows us why she's a little bit more tough, because she had a harder upbringing. And, I do like to see those more raw sides, as opposed to like you in your $30,000 outfit and just like acting like this, like, how are you?
Oh my God.
You know?
She can't even move her neck in some of those outfits. You're like, this is so ridiculous. It is. Her fashion is amazing, but sometimes it's like, stop.
Okay, okay, so you said it. That's fair. And then I just real quick, I'm curious. Obviously, we're getting the divorce, but do you feel like this is? I'm not even going to give you scenarios. Do you have an idea in your head as to why Tom and Erica would be getting a divorce?
I feel like at this point, it is to protect their assets. I think, they're going to split up. Some of the stuff is going to be put into her name, and then his lawsuits are all going to be cleared up. And then maybe they won't remarry or whatever, but like, off the books, like amongst each other, they're going to do something with trustees or something like that to make sure that the money is taken care of. Because once things happen on that level, like that financial level, you can't just, sit there and take it. Like, you got to be really, really strategic. I'm like, even if they did have issues, the man is like in his 80s. You've already been married to him for 20 something years. Just like have an agreement to have an open marriage, have your boyfriend, have his girlfriend. Apparently that's what they have been doing all this time. So I really do think that at the end of the day, this is just strictly business. Yeah. Do you think so as well? Or do you think that something genuinely just snapped with them?
I think that when you go... Listen, I think that at this point, when you're spending $40,000 a month on glam, and then you go to a $7,000 condo, coming from a mansion, and I feel like it's business too. I think Erica's already, like you said, she's invested so much of her life, so much of her time into this already, that why wouldn't you just eat a little crow and just kind of follow it through, right?
100%. I just don't see it. And you know what? I genuinely think she's the type of person who's okay with the kind of love that she has with him. It's not like bang from the chandeliers and like, all over the floors and the bed and the couch. No, but like, it's the kind of love that she needs in her life because she didn't have it growing up. So I just, like, I get it. I kind of get their relationship. It's a little weird, but I get it. Everything's a little different. We're all different.
Yeah. It's like love with a little bit of a monetary value on it.
Yes, a little monetary value, a little father figure, maybe grandfather, because he is older than her dad. So.
Oh gosh, not another Mary Cosby.
That's exactly what it is.
No. Well, Grace, I feel like we've covered so much. I think we just went down the Bravo line. I mean, we left out Southern Charm and a little bit of Below Deck, but honestly, this has been such a fun conversation with you, and you're a big breath of fresh air.
Thank you. Likewise. This has been awesome. I could do it all day. You are so fun.
Well, if I mean honestly, if you ever want to come back, or I reached out to you too. Atlanta's going to be starting in December, so if you want to jump on and cover some Atlanta together, I'm all here for it. This was so easy and effortless for me, so I don't know how. I mean, for you, but for me, this was just a lot of fun, and what a great way to start my day. You put me in a great mood.
Thank you. Likewise. We'll have to do one on mine ahead of Atlanta. December's too far away. We'll find somewhere to do a little Bravo on my channel as well.
Of course. Hey, just reach out. Anytime, I'm always down. I'm super excited.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace. We'll see you soon.
See you. Bye. Bye, everyone.
All right, guys. How awesome was that? Grace was so amazing. Super sweet. Thank you to Grace for joining us. Wow. I love talking about Bravo and having these like little no holds barred conversations to see what everybody's kind of thinking. We do have another video coming up today where we're going to be taking callers galore. We have the family Chantel that we're recapping along with Fem Tarot. A lot of you guys asked me, please, I want to get in the room with Fem Tarot. I will drop the link right away. Everybody start calling in. The first 10 that fill up the room, I will take them, and then I'll start booting out and try to get as many in as I can. You guys are the best. Over 270 in the room. Everyone, please hit like before you go. It helps us tremendously, and we'll see you shortly. Bye, guys.